Hi everyone, it's Raina. So this video is if you have your natal Jupiter in the 12th house. In astrology, the 12th house is ruled by Pisces, and its ruler is Neptune. Pisces is a water sign, and so the emotions are always front and center in water houses. In this case, the 12th house is about the spiritual, however, and so it is concerned about how we plug in spiritually, how we connect on a spiritual level. And the emotions that accompany the 12th house are Piscean in that they deal with suffering, they deal with self sacrifice. So, this feeling of empathy that is part of this house that deals with being able to sense what other people feel, to put yourself in the shoes of others. And I can't think of so it's like a universal type of compassion, I guess you would call it. And Jupiter is the ancient ruler of Pisces. So there are some kind of similar things that I saw when I was compiling this list. I got this list, well, I compiled it from a web page, and this was from the site advancedastrology.com. And I didn't include everything. I never do when I look at these things. I just basically skim them over just to get key phrases. And some of them I didn't understand exactly what they meant. Some of them I didn't necessarily agree with, and I omitted them. But in any case, when you have Jupiter in the 12th house, it's like you're born with this spiritual protection. You know, your guardian angels. Actually, the 12th house is the house of hidden enemies. So when people have planets in the 12th house, they may feel like they are being like life is against them. They are being attacked, and they can't even tell, where it's coming from. And because the 12th house is psychic, maybe psychic attacks. If Mercury's in the 12th house, I don't know. But if you have Jupiter, and Jupiter is the great benefic, it's this planet that is really associated with luck, with good juju. This can offer you spiritual protection. But also, what they mentioned is that you can turn those enemies into future friends. So that's even better. And I think one of the reasons why this happens is because when the person is coming from a lot of good vibes on the spiritual level, it's very easy to disarm other people because, let's face it, people who have something against us, maybe they got the wrong impression because of the way that we interacted with them. And the more that we show this goodwill, we can, turn them into a friend. And I say we, even though I don't have this position. This can happen with anyone, but certainly with your placement, it can happen here. And you may find that the luck that you have is quite mysterious. That was the word that they used was mysterious. And I actually saw in all of my readings, extensive readings in astrology, that, and I didn't see it mentioned here, because Jupiter is connected with money, I have heard that money can come to a person, maybe like as past life karma, or just because of this, kind of like from this hidden place. This is a hidden house. Maybe you get it. It's almost like getting money from the universe. And it's interesting because when I think of the Rider-Waite tarot deck, illustrated by Pamela Coleman Smith, she has the Ace of Pentacles as the cloud that is producing these gold coins, or the gold coin. And that can really be what it feels like, is that you get this money. And maybe I was reading that for the transit of Jupiter in the 12th house, but I think that it would definitely apply if your natal Jupiter is here. And it's important to remember that you may have other planets here. So maybe you have Saturn here. You might have the sun and or the moon here. And if so, there might be some things that feel kind of negative, like especially, I wouldn't say the sun so much as the moon, but let's say your moon is here and you feel like kind of like misunderstood in life, and kind of like coming from that negative vantage point because you feel like you've suffered and things like that, you can still find that there is something, or maybe like Pluto, let's say, which is more, that can actually indicate abuse, And even with that, there might be something lucky that always seems to happen, or you're protected in the 11th hour from something that could have been really, really bad. Even if you do have negative experiences, in other words, there still is like that silver lining or that saving grace. And that, what that does is that retains your faith. You know how sometimes people go through trauma and they emerge very jaded in life and very bitter about life. And this can help you to remain hopeful about life, even if you've been through hell and back in some cases. This makes you an innately moral individual. And, it's funny because there's a saying that, I don't know if they say morality, let's just say morality is what happens when you do something when nobody's looking, something like that. And that really is true. It's easy to be moral when, all eyes are upon you, or you're virtue signaling. Oh, I did this, I did that. But when there's no way for anybody to see, and you're still that ethical individual, that's what true morality is. And that's what you have, because it's built in, it's baked into you. And that's the Jupiter, because Jupiter rules the 9th house. And again, it has an affinity for the 12th because of its ancient rulership to Pisces. Solitude is pleasurable for you, and therefore all of the activities that go along with solitude. So meditation, just even like if you walked in the woods, or spent time alone, maybe listening to music, anything, sketching something. Artistic pursuits are also very interesting or pleasurable for you. And remember too, because Jupiter is a great benefic, it benefits you. So it means that if you pursue these activities, that you are enhanced, or you could say expanded too. And some people are just like, they always want to be around other people, and they're getting their energy from others. But you are really plugging into yourself, and you're gaining from that. And it's funny because just like you can gain, it's interesting because one of the things I read is that people who are introverted, they actually are energized by being alone. People who are extroverts, they're energized through other people. I say more power to the introverts because they're plugging into themselves. And it's like they're recharging their batteries through their solitude. And And so those kinds of activities that are very, very connected to solitude, like journaling, maybe writing in general, other artistic pursuits, meditation, these are things that really are enjoyable for you, but they're also beneficial for you. You might have a strong sensory overload where you can't handle loud noises or, bright lights, flashy. So those things where you're out in public, there's a bunch of people, that might not be something that is enjoyable for you. Big crowds, loud noises, and things like that. So if I asked you, would you like to go to a concert? You'd probably rather, be lying in bed or lying on the couch, listening on your headphones, which really tunes you into yourself when you listen on headphones. And just being alone and doing that, being in your own world. You would prefer that to being in a loud concert. Whereas other people might feed off of that energy from the outer environment. You're sensitive in general because the 12th house is this, I dare say the 12th house is the most sensitive house, but maybe all water houses will be sensitive because they're connected to the emotions. But it's this place of retreat. And by the way, you may enjoy going on retreats. So while some people might be like, oh, I want to, go and be by the ocean. You would want to be by the ocean too, though, with the water connection. But, just doing things that are very social, being on a cruise, things like that. You would love a spiritual retreat. Now, even if you were with other people, even if it was in a place where it wasn't completely isolated, just the idea of being able to kind of like black out the world and just go within with the support of others, that would be your perfect social activity, especially probably if it involved a silent retreat where you didn't have to speak all that time. So those Vipassana retreats, those 10-day retreats, that might be like a perfect vacation for you, actually. Come to think of it. And those are all like silent, so. Okay. You might have psychic ability. They say, especially if your moon is in a water sign, I would say if you have, I don't think it has to be your moon is in a water sign. Your moon could be in a water house. And that might be enough for you to be very psychic. So what about if your moon was in the 8th house or the 4th house or the 12th house? And maybe even if your sun sign is water. I don't think it has to be just the moon, but anyway, that's very strongly indicated. And one thing that I wanted to say that I found very interesting is that you may feel like you have a karmic mission. And they mentioned, I don't know, I have the page up here. They were talking about, they mentioned, I don't know about karmic baggage. I'll just read exactly what they say. Water houses are karmic houses. Planets here, the 4th, 8th, and 12th houses, suggest that you have a karmic baggage that your soul wants to resolve in this lifetime. Planets in the 12th house are strong indicators of a karmic task. I would rather say a karmic mission, and I'll tell you why. Because Jupiter is such a positive influence that the concept of baggage, it implies something, on the negative side. And I would rather look at this as a karmic mission. Jupiter, as the ruler of the 9th house, is that the 9th house can be the teacher of higher learning. And higher learning, of course, universities qualifies as that as well. But ultimately, I think of the guru or the spiritual teacher. And so, and that's another thing too, is that I wouldn't be surprised if some of you find a teacher that is highly influential in your life and helps you to really grow in life, but also it's like maybe even in some cases you're going down the wrong road and you find the spiritual teacher and it like turns your life around. And I would even say something that just came in my mind is it doesn't even have to be a living teacher. I mean, you might read a book about a guru who has transitioned, and that teacher becomes your guide, in life. So anyway, I just wanted to mention that about the karmic angle, some kind of karmic mission. And I would say too that I think in Vedic astrology, they even look at Jupiter as your I don't want to say profession. What's another word for profession? Like avocation, I think is the word I was looking for. And the reason I'm saying that differently is because I feel like there's more of a service-oriented aspect to that. And so anyway, this can indicate that you are maybe doing something that is altruistic. And that was something I didn't see too. Altruism is associated with the 12th house. Doing something for somebody else without gain. But you always gain, but you're not doing it for that purpose. It's not like when we work for money and we're really focused on. So even if you're making money with a profession, there's an altruistic intention behind it, perhaps. And you might feel that you're more accepted, or that you belong living abroad than living where you are situated, and where your homeland. And that was one of the things that I put down here, but I was a little bit confused because Jupiter is associated with foreign countries, okay? And that's the 9th house. The only thing I can think of is that they're, but they specifically mentioned that the 12th house is speaking about these foreign countries and stuff. And so that must be a remnant from the Jupiter association. But I just thought that was strange that they didn't mention it as an attribute of Jupiter instead of the 12th house. But anyway, if that resonates for somebody, that might be something that you want to do. If you feel like you just don't belong where you are, in other words, you might have luck in a faraway place. Okay, well, that's what I have for you. I hope that this resonated. If you would like a private reading, the link is below. I'm at rainamoonastrology.com. Take care. Bye.